And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me in this space. I'm very grateful to all of you for joining in, and I'd like to give a brief introduction to this video. This is a channeling experience, a channeled oracle, a message that I performed uh, approximately an hour ago, and just finished recording myself speaking about the experience about 10 minutes ago. And I would like to give a brief introduction and disclaimer. So the disclaimer is that I am neither confirming nor denying that I made contact with any particular any one of the particular deities that I mentioned in this video. For me, this is a definitely a elemental experience. I am far more of an elementally guided practitioner, etc., etc. I also consider myself guided by color and light, or even shadow a lot of the time. I tend to steer clear of labeling or naming things, which is why I especially want to give this disclaimer. I understand that cultural appropriation is a serious problem, and I understand it's especially contentious in the spiritual and magical communities now, particularly with Caucasian practitioners literally just stealing the customs of other cultural groups. I'm not claiming to have made contact with any of those specific deities, particularly Mami Wata. I do not have a background in West African or any African diasporic traditions. However, I do believe that the ocean belongs to our whole planet, and she touches all of it. She makes her presence known in all of our lives, because literally our bodies are made out of her, out of water. So I speak of water as a goddess in an elemental and in a Gaian form, knowing fully well that I'm going to show plenty of images of lots of different cultural icons and depictions of goddesses from around the world. And I just want to make sure that everyone has this disclaimer and knows that I'm not claiming to have made contact with any particular deity at this time. And with that said, thank you so much for joining. Listen to the message. It was something that was, even right now, it's hard for me to relax. It's hard for me to feel calm, because it is a very activating message, and I very enthusiastically await your response. And of course, be respectful in the comments, like, and subscribe for more. So this is going to be a pretty interesting video. This is going to be a pretty interesting monologue, I would say, because for the past year, really, I mean, beginning in around November or December-ish of 2024, which would be slightly more than a year ago, I am filming this in February 20th, 2026. But for over a year now, I have been involved in both a coven and continuing my solitary practice as I had been doing for years. I essentially more or less started my journey with magic or witchcraft or the craft or whatever you want to say, occultism. All of it really started for me when I was 13. Mainly, if I'm going to share that, it mainly was because at that age I decided that I was a committed atheist and wanted to prove everything wrong, so I had to test everything. So naturally, as you can imagine, I eventually came around to testing a bunch of witchcraft. Some of it didn't work, some of it was, but there was something about it that was so magnetic and kept luring me back in. And over time, I I more or less began to accept the spiritual experiences that I was having, because when you involve yourself in that type of pursuit, literally testing different religious practices and stuff, you inevitably start to experience, or at least awaken, yourself to the possibility of experiencing real, genuine spiritual connections, especially when you're treating it as I did, like a experiment, experimentally. And so by the end of, I mean, I shouldn't say the end of the journey because I'm continuing on that same journey, but by the end of my teen years, I had pretty much ironed out exactly what I believed and exactly what I cared about. And so since then, it's been many years, but since then, I have really, again, I've had a sort of on and off again relationship with witchcraft. Of course, I went to college and was really busy at that point and wasn't devoting much time to religion. But even then, if I'm being honest, that's not entirely true. I've always been keeping an altar, and I've always been reading tarot cards and, you know, performing other forms of divination, including, making, well, what I've learned more and more about recently are like contacts through dreams or contacts through clairvoyance, clairaudience, specifically, not clairvoyance so much for me, but clairaudience and clairsentience. Um, but as I've developed my psychic skills over the course of my young adulthood, I basically, I guess you could say, reached a critical velocity around a year ago where I happened to start a relationship, start a friendship, I should say, with a number of different people who shared similar interests in occultism and magic, specifically chaos magic and such. And so, since we've been working together, and I've also been continuing to really broaden and deepen my own personal practice a lot, I really have both experienced the awesome magnitude and like spiritual and energetic magnitude of working with a group of people, even working with one singular person who is my primary magical partner at this time. But even when we're able to meet as a group, it's genuinely ecstatic. The energy is tangible in through multiple, sensations, through multiple ways, both psychic and somatic. And so, as I've expanded, deepened, broadened my own personal practice and my own relationship with spirits and with the so-called the other side, or the spirit realm, or the spirit world, or the astral, whatever you want to say. I guess there's nuances to each of those, but whatever is most relevant to you. I have actually been shocked, really, is what I should be getting at, is I've been very surprised, almost to the point, especially where I'm at right now, almost to the point of overwhelm with how much spiritual energy is cycling and fluctuating through our lives, because it's not just me, it's my partner, it's all of our coven members, it's frankly every person on the planet is going through it, whether they're going through it consensually or joyfully or not. A lot of people are being dragged along, kicking and screaming. But I'm certainly not one of them. I really do embrace the change. I embrace the changes. And I embrace the auspicious alignments that this year has to offer, especially, I mean, so far this month of February, I already knew from beforehand that this was going to be easily the single most energetically, magically powerful time of the entire year. And even with that said, there are still 4 or 5 or 6 other magical moments that are going to happen in this year, which would be huge on their own, if it weren't for the fact that, of course, they're all lined up together and they're all just going to hit us all at once, which is frankly not surprising. There's the old saying, it doesn't rain except when it pours. So we're being poured upon right now, and I welcome it. We need it. We need this energy. We need this expansion. I need this expansion. And so that's what's brought me here. I have had a very interesting experience lately whereby my manifestation rituals that I've been doing since the first of the month, since Imbolc, has in the last 20 days led me to, or I should say, in 17 days, it led me to the point where on the night of the new moon, February 17th, just a few nights ago, I had an experience that essentially felt like I got struck by lightning. I've genuinely never had a more I've never had more synchronicities hit me one after another. Basically, they were coming 5 minutes apart. It was truly astonishing. And I'll give you specific examples. I have been a devotee for a very long time to the great feminine energy, to the divine feminine, to the mother goddess and all her manifestations, and doing everything I can to honor all those manifestations and understand the nuance and the sophistication and the relationships that they have to each other and everything else, and to me, and to the people around me, and to my life and my destiny. And so, what's been very, very prevalent, and I don't mean to stutter, but I'm struggling to find exactly which vocabulary words I want to use because, like I said, it felt like being struck by lightning. Um, I was informed prior to the 17th that my deity was going to be reaching out to me and was going to be showing me two particular signs. And I was really honestly taken aback by it. And it's crazy that I didn't believe it. I didn't really even fully believe it, even though I am a very faithful person. I'm very faithful in the power of the goddess, and I know how present she is and how eager she is to communicate with me and have an effect on my life. But I was still shocked, to hear that my deity was going to be sending me signs, and the two signs were butterflies and turtles. And I was genuinely astonished on the 17th at how many synchronistic mentions there were of butterflies and turtles, among various other things like the color green, or the idea of flowers, or of fruits, or of orchards. And I mean, it was just that. It was shocking. I also allowed myself to to do something that I wouldn't normally do, which was listen to a few tarot readings done over the internet for a broad collective of people, and I tapped into that, and it was my time to tap into that. And the goddess showed me just the most auspicious signs that the time is now. And what I ended up having to ask was, okay, what is it time for really? Because I've known for a few months now. I mean, I've known for at least the last 3 weeks, give or take, that I was really building up to something important, or building up to something meaningful. And I didn't know what it was, and I probably still don't even know what it is now. But what the goddess has told me, what the mother has told me, is that she wants me to basically take on a bigger role, take on more responsibility, and mainly, she said she wants me to speak. She said that she wants me to use my voice to heal myself and others. She said that I don't understand the power and the magic inherent in my voice, and because it's mine and you don't notice that, and a lot of people cringe at the sound of their voice because it doesn't sound the same way outside of yourself as it does inside your own head, yada yada. Point is, she said to me, you don't realize the enormous gift that's been given to you, and really the biggest failure on my part would be to just stay silent and just remain silent permanently and never share. And so, while I still at this point don't know exactly where the story is going, essentially, it's like I don't know where she's leading me. I just am going to follow because I trust her and I believe that she's taking me exactly where I need to be going. And part of that journey is her telling me, even right now, literally, 14 minutes ago, get on your phone and record yourself speaking, because you have to grow accustomed to sharing this voice with people. And of course, how do I react? Fearful. I'm afraid. I'm genuinely, it's paradoxical because I'm not only enthusiastic to participate, I am equally as enthusiastic to just outright deny and avoid and refuse. And I obviously understand I have to overcome that part of myself that wants to shrink, that wants to hide, that wants to be smaller, because it's just not appropriate. It's not what I've been asked to do. It's not what the goddess has asked me to do. So really, I know that the best I can offer is to tell her our story, right? The story between me and her, and where we've come, and sort of the progress that we've had thus far. And really, what's very interesting, if I'm just going to get straight into it, which why not, is that I'm very, very impressed, but also perplexed, frankly. And I'm not necessarily saying that I need it to be any other way. In fact, I feel like this is just her true form, and this is the most authentic version that the goddess puts on for us. She literally embodies the powers and the phenomena of fluidity and fluid dynamics, whether we're talking water or air or fire or blood or electricity or thoughts, dreams, the orbits of the planets, everything. The flow, the oscillation, the dynamic physics. This is her. This is her. This is what she does. This is what she is. This is her place in our reality matrix. This is the spirit, the collective spirit that has made contact with me and continues making contact with me, whether she shows up as Bridget of Ireland, or the Lady of the Lake, or Saradwin, or Freya, or Hestia, or Aphrodite, or Venus, or Mami Wata, or Yamaya, or Oshun, or Isis, or Hathor, or Inanna, or Ishtar, Shakti, or Kali, Ma Durga, Kuan Yin, Avalokiteshvara. I have seen, even Spider Woman, Deer Woman, Owl Woman. I am not unfamiliar with all of these different manifestations. Pachamama, the snake goddess, Tiamat, Lilith, Hecate. I see her everywhere. And she's constantly changing forms. She constantly is shapeshifting. And frankly, I love that about her because it's just so queen. It's just so queen bitch. It's just so I run it. I run this place. I run this show. This is my show. You're in my play. This is my garden. This is my house. And she just has no time to or energy to waste. She's not interested in being wasteful. You know. And so what I guess what really set me on this path to making my voice available on the internet and speaking about my relationship with the Mother Goddess and speaking about my relationship to Mother Water, to Mother Ocean, and speaking about my relationship to other things, because there are the ancestors as well. There's the forest spirits, the mountain spirits, the clouds, the sky, the stars, the moon, the sun. There's so much more, but I know because I've learned enough. And I know that I'm constantly learning still, but I've learned enough at this point to know that some of us are chosen for certain things. Some of us are chosen for certain paths. In fact, I will admit that my relationship with the mother and the negotiations that we've had, it actually drives me crazy that I have too many options available to me still. But that's on her insistence because she wants to see what I choose for myself because it is part of the test. So I have a lot of options available to me, and she's made that abundantly clear. But one thing that is also very clear is that as far as deities are concerned, I clearly have a relationship to certain, I guess you might call them archetypes or archetypal forms of divinity. I know that my divine feminine aspect is the mother water, is the water goddess, it is the snake goddess, the snake handler. It is the feminine of the Mediterranean, the feminine of the Near East, so to speak. The feminine of West Asia and North Africa and Southern Europe. And the divine masculine that I've connected with, that I've always been connected with, and I know that now too, of course, is the masculine, the traveler, the flyer, the communicator, the messenger, Mercury, Hermes, Thoth, Lu, Odin, Eshu. Ganesha as well. Can't forget Ganesha. I do love Ganesha. That form, the gentle masculinity, but the masculinity that is fast and effective. It is one that, frankly, I mean, as far as I can tell, is complementary, if not specifically subservient as well, to the complementary power of the goddess of flow, the dynamic goddess, the goddess who is fire one moment and a blizzard the next, a crashing wave and then rolling sands. I really was impressed and, dare I say, enchanted by a reel that I saw, and unfortunately I can't give credit to the creators because I don't remember their name, their channel name or anything, account name, sorry. But all that I remember was that they referred to themselves in the video as water warriors, and they were speaking specifically on how spiritually the earth, while it is not threatened by humanity's abuse of the environment, she is nonetheless upset because she is not. This is not a consensual situation, and the water, specifically the ocean, the water has become very angry. It is the first to have become upset, and she is gearing up for. I mean, I shouldn't say gearing up for. She has already declared essentially a battle. She's ready to fight because that's the way that she is. She's a zero tolerance. She's a zero tolerance policy. She's not interested in entertaining losers. She's not entertained by charlatans. She's not entertained by swindlers, by thieves, by murderers. Not entertained at all. And so she really truly is reaching out, even now, through me, reaching out and saying to people, the water is calling you. The water is asking you to help. She's asking you to help her. She's asking you to work in her favor. She's asking you to fight for her side. Fight on her side. We have to protect the earth. We have to protect the oceans. But the thing about it is, the ocean will fight back immediately. The ocean doesn't wait. Mother Water doesn't wait to fight. She doesn't wait to defend the land and the sky. The land spirits may be too patient to be effective fighters, but the water warriors, the water spirits, They don't play games. And having that energy and that presence emerge in my life and really take hold of me like a crashing wave, like a hurricane, like a lightning strike, like whatever you want to call it. Like a storm blew through my life 3 nights ago. And the consequence has been I've accepted my position, essentially, as a ally of Mother Water, of the goddess. And I see it. And I see her, and I see her many forms. And I understand, and I know that I also can't necessarily explain what it means. If you know, you know. This is one of those moments. If you know, you know. So, as far as my voice is concerned, I don't, I don't know. I believe that she will tell me in the end whether she is approving of what I've said. But for now, I do feel good, and I feel her approval, and I feel as though maybe this is what she was asking me to do: is to speak in a way that just acknowledges truth, and truth is all you need to heal. Acknowledging the truth and speaking the truth is all you need to heal. And what needs to be said right now, I mean, there's a lot that needs to be said, but one thing that really needs to be said, which is Mother Water's primary message through me right here and now, is protect the water. Literally, water, life is water. Water is life. It's everything. Water is everything. The land is nothing without the water. The earth is nothing without the water. And we are abusing the water more than we're abusing the land, perhaps. I mean, it's not even a perhaps. Like, let's be clear. The water is being abused, even worse. And she's here to fight, and she will vanquish her enemies. And it's not, and of course that's not supposed to come off as threatening, and I'm not offering that as a threat. I am just delivering the message that actions have consequences, and people, ignorance is not a defense. Just because you didn't know doesn't mean she isn't going to punish. Just because people didn't care or ignored or underestimated the effects of climate change doesn't mean that she isn't going to punish us for climate change. And that is just the unfortunate truth that people need to hear. Because we need to get ready. We need to get ready. We need to get prepared. And we need to start seriously making the changes that are going to appease Mother and are going to calm her wrath. Because all I'm saying is a spanking is certainly preferable to, let's say, getting hit with a switch. Not that this is an endorsement of corporal punishment. It's not, but it's just honest. Because we're adults here. We're not talking child's play. We are adults here. If you do something that is seriously wrong, you deal with serious consequences. And what humanity collectively has done to the water, to the oceans, to the rivers, to the sky, to the clouds, and to the vegetation, and to the animals, to the whole earth, what we have done is inexcusable, and we must be punished. It is the natural way of things. There's just, but we get to choose. The thing about it is we can still choose. We can choose still. We can still choose what sort of punishments we deal with. We can choose to do better now and deal with fewer consequences later. The only thing is that we have to choose to do what's right now in order to avoid consequences later. We have to do better to protect the planet. We have to do better to heal the environment. We have got to change everything that it takes to get the planet off of its fossil fuel addiction. Everything that it takes is important. Everything it takes needs to be done. And I feel like I need to stop there, or else I feel like I probably will just start rambling and just injecting a lot of my own thoughts and own words into this. But that's where I just want to stop and acknowledge that I want to thank Mother Water and Mother Goddess and Green Goddess and Mother Earth and Father Sky and the Father Forests. All I just want to thank all of them, but I especially of course want to thank Mother Water because of how very, 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 very strongly and powerfully she has come through in my life and in my experience over the last 3 days. And I just want to acknowledge and, show my gratitude for that, for this huge change and this totally, like, this new inertia that's been introduced and the direct answers that I've been given. And of course, I just want to encourage anyone who hears this message to consider it. And, obviously, if you are a magical practitioner, seek answers for yourself. If you are not familiar or would not consider yourself or a practitioner of magical or occult arts, or if you're a beginner and you want to investigate this for yourself, my advice would be mainly to give it some time and allow yourself to concentrate on your intention, whatever your intention is. Make sure your intention aligns with, your authentic self, your curious self, your creativity, your compassion, and allow yourself to meditate for at least 7 days, to give yourself time to feel lots of things before you make a judgment. Um, because if you hear this and of course think, I'm not a spiritual person, whatever, which I don't even know why you'd be at this point in the video, but if that is you, give it some time. See if anything stands out to you, because honestly, I truly believe that Mother Water is interested in touching people's lives, and you know, uh, expanding her presence in people's lives. And so, if you're open to that expansion, she has a lot of good to give. She has a lot to offer, and there's a lot of beauty and a lot of power in the water. So obviously, all thanks to Mother Water and to the Holy Messengers and to my Holy Spirit team, and salutations also to yours. And I wish the best for you, and I wish the best for your spirit team and for your spirit guides to communicate with you as often as you so desire. Peace, love, kindness, and generosity. Thank you.